Since Saturday morning, analysts have been actively advocating for a coalition between the DA and the ANC. In my opinion, they are misleading the ANC once again, as they have done in the past. To recap, these analysts previously advised the ANC that former President Jacob Zuma had no power and should be imprisoned. This led to severe unrest and the tragic deaths of 300 people. Later, they warned President Cyril Ramaphosa against imprisoning Zuma again, claiming it would devastate the country and the economy, prompting a Ramaphosa to pardon him. Subsequently, Zuma launched a party featuring his image prominently on the ballots, which contributed to the ANC losing its majority. Following the party's launch, analysts downplayed its significance, suggesting it wouldn't have much impact. Today, we face a situation that threatens the country's constitution.
We have a right, a bigger right than anybody else, to demand that.
Advocating for an ANC coalition with the DA is yet another misguided recommendation. First of all, we need to consider other coalition possibilities. The MK and ANC coalition is off the table, as Zuma's daughter has already dismissed it. On the other hand, an ANC and EFF coalition presents challenging terms, such as Floyd Shivambu taking the finance portfolio. Additionally, the EFF wants the position of Speaker of the National Assembly, potentially filled by Busisiwe Mkhwebane, but that's a topic for another discussion. The idea of an ANC coalition with the DA is being promoted by analysts and DA supporters who did not vote for the ANC. Frankly, this would be political suicide for the ANC. It would harm the party and erase its legacy of liberating majority black South Africans from white rule. However, analysts argue that this doesn't have to be a formal coalition with the DA in the government, executive, and cabinet. Instead, the DA could gain more control in Parliament, which is the third arm of the government, in exchange for their support. Wait, let me explain how that would work. South Africa has 3 branches of government. The judiciary. These are the judges who interpret the law. The executive. This consists of the president, ministers, and others who enforce or implement policies. Analysts are advising the DA to distance itself from this branch and avoid taking any ministerial or cabinet positions. The legislature. This is the parliament, where all bills are made, such as NHI, employment equity, BEE, the two-pot system, etc. This branch oversees the executive. Analysts and commentators want the DA to focus on the legislature. This would not only make them accountable for ANC's governance, but also allow them to act as watchdogs. They would have the power to block policies and limit budget expenditures, such as grants like SRD, military assistance in foreign countries, ICJ cases, and more. This would be damaging for the ANC. In essence, it would be like the DA employing the ANC. This isn't a true division of power. The executive creates policies that must be reviewed, studied, assessed, and debated in Parliament. If the DA controls Parliament, the only policies that will be prioritised will be those in the best interest of the minority. There is documented evidence to support this concern. Many media outlets are pushing the narrative that a DA and ANC partnership is the only viable coalition. They argue that such a coalition would benefit the economy, strengthening the rand and lowering inflation. It would also attract more trade and foreign investment for infrastructure, boosting GDP. A Social Research Foundation survey found that most ANC and DA voters support a coalition between the two parties. According to the survey, 59% of ANC voters and 57% of DA voters strongly favour this coalition. Respondents believe that both the ANC and the DA have good people and policies. If the two parties can find a way to collaborate in a future coalition, it would give South Africa its best chance for a stable and prosperous future. But that is not entirely true. Yes, the DA does have good policies, but they are primarily designed to benefit the minority. Their policies do not extend to townships, which receive minimal service delivery. The DA's policies often undermine race equality initiatives such as affirmative action, BEE, land reform, and restitution projects like employment equity and the minimum wage. They argue that these policies have historically benefited only a select few politically connected individuals. If the DA is truly committed to addressing the legacy of apartheid, it should propose alternative redress policies that ensure the economy's ownership patterns reflect the country's demographics. To lead the majority, their social issues must be a priority, and currently, they are not. The ANC, on the other hand, excels in protecting the constitution and implementing policies that serve all South Africans. They do not just protect the minority by allowing them to retain apartheid-acquired wealth without imposing a wealth tax. The ANC also enacts laws that benefit the majority, such as the NHI bill, employment equity, and an extensive grant system. A coalition with the DA would make passing bills extremely difficult. If it does materialize, the next 5 years will be turbulent. However, this seems to be the option the ANC is likely to settle on.